It's so weird to me that it says Botrix has correctly joined the channel. I guess it's important that you all always better come correct. And Botrix is going to make sure that happens. What's up, chat? How's it going? I am not talking into the mic. Getting a bit of a late start tonight. We had a family event that I absolutely totally forgot of because I've had just a bunch of bullshit going on for a long time. Also, it was organized on Facebook, and I don't really go on Facebook anymore. So that was another thing that happened. But yeah, I went over to that, and then I ended up doing some. I had took an L this week that kind of fucked me up a little bit. Not like in a significant way. Just I needed to take a few days off to reset my brain. Fortunately, it was not anything major. Just something I was hoping would go my way that didn't go my way. And so instead of doing the normal uploads and stuff that I do on Friday, I literally just spent all day fucking grinding out WoW. And then Saturday I was gonna take a break and go for a walk, but it was too cold. I didn't want to go out, so I spent all day just grinding out WoW. And then today I was gonna get back to work because Sunday we normally do our work. Saturday is always the day off. That's the Lord's day. We give it to Him. So definitely wasn't doing any work Saturday. But Sunday I was planning on getting back to work. I'm gonna work on some things that I actually was gonna do before the stream still, and I forgot to do. But that's all right. Uh, but then I got that text message from one of my cousins, and I was like, they were like, the party was actually at my other cousin's house next door. So one of my cousins messaged me, and they were like, "We're about to eat. We're at your cousin's house." I was like, "Oh, cool. Let me put some pants on and I'll come over." So that was cool. I got to be there for one of my little cousin's birthdays, just hang out and see people. I've been kind of existing in this cave, locked away from the world for a while, and it was nice to go see some family, spend some time with some family. Especially after the week I had, I just needed a reset. Even though I wasn't, the 2 days wasn't enough. Like, uh, going out and hanging out with people, being social, it's important, you know? Uh, I think in today's society, we get too focused on grinding, and I'm super. I'm way worse than it seems on the surface. I know I'm pretty chill on the surface, but literally all I do all day is think about my next move. It's actually so bad that, like, as I was getting dressed, I was having a conversation with Grok about my plans for entrepreneurship for the next 5 years. I'm not even kidding. After I came back, I spent probably another hour just wrapping up that conversation and coming up with a plan. Then I caught up with some Discord messages. I wasn't checking Discord or anything while I was chilling. I just had to disconnect from the internet, and it's weird because the way that I disconnected from the internet was by playing WoW, which is obviously on the internet. But if you're an internet denizen, you know what I mean. I had to, like, avoid all the social media. The only thing social I did for those 2 days was join the guild meeting. I didn't know there was a guild meeting for the WoW Guild. I just happened to see it because I was online, and I was like, oh, sure, I'll go in and I'll sit in the background and do absolutely nothing, just listen. But then I stayed on after the meeting. Ended up chatting with some people, just making ridiculous, disgusting, childish jokes and like talking about our favorite classes and stuff. So that was all good. It was all good. Uh, I don't know if I'm playing WoW tonight. I I want to, but I'm kind of tired. Playing WoW on a hardcore when you're tired is not a good idea. We're gonna eat this burrito I have here. I don't need the full hot dogs that I normally have because the food was delicious, man. We had great burgers. I'm not sure where those burgers came from, but that was some delicious beef, you know? They were thick, juicy, well seasoned. There was nice grilled hot dogs, but my favorite thing, man, there was this like sausage with cheese in it. I enjoyed it so much that I bit down on that sausage and it exploded all over my face and into my beard. It was delicious. Like later, someone came up to me. They were like, "Bro, there's something in your beard." I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's some of that sausage." I need to trim this up. It needs some love, but I just grind so hard. I'm like, ah, I can do it once I get that bag. You know. The thing is, I don't even give a fuck about money, and that's been a problem for most of my life because the entire rest of the world cares mostly about money, more about money than other things. So that causes problems for me, as you can imagine. So recently, I have been doing my very best to focus more on the money aspect of things. That's why we had the sponsorship, and we'll have a new one this week. I just haven't gotten around to setting that up. That's why I'm working on the entrepreneurship stuff finally. But I want to do entrepreneurship in a positive way. So I'm not ready for the full reveal yet, but the first thing I decided I'm going to work on is a new streaming tool because, to be honest, the tools that I have, and I've been doing a lot of searching, trying to find tools, just don't cut it for me. I want a better tool that solves all the problems with the current tools I have. I like Stream Elements, but it has no Kick integration. And as I'm moving more and more towards Kick and away from Twitch, that's absolutely necessary. I also feel like it's kind of been enshittified, become more of like corporate cleanse, you know? Don't get me wrong, I love Stream Elements. Way better than Streamlabs ever was. I started with Streamlabs originally. I actually ran the bot locally on my PC. That's how old of a Streamlabs user I am. And eventually their bot went online like Stream Elements and it was worse. It just had so many problems. I used Streamlabs OBS for a while, and then I got to a point as I grew as a creator that there were just settings I couldn't change in Streamlabs that I wanted to be able to change. So I went back to OBS Studio, and then once I did that, I was like, I don't really need the Streamlabs bot anymore. Let's see if there's a better bot, and that's what I found, Stream Elements. And I've been with Stream Elements ever since then. I do think I will continue to kind of use Stream Elements, especially while I'm still relatively small for the sponsorship opportunities. But I need to come up with a better tool that just works and does everything I want it to. And Stream Elements doesn't do everything I want it to. I've got to combine too many other tools together to get the full coverage that I want. So I'm going to start producing a new streaming tool. And I wasn't even planning on talking about that, but that's kind of what I was planning earlier today. I will likely start to announce stuff in the next week. One of the things I'm working on is I want it to be created for everyone, not just myself. So one of the things I'm starting to work on is a survey that I'm going to send out to streamer friends and see what they want from this tool. Yeah, so let's stop rambling, and I'm going to eat my burrito before it gets cold. We're going to watch this new Atozy video. I love Atozy's content so much. And then maybe we watch some we play some WoW. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out in a bit. I didn't restart the PC before I started the stream, which I usually do, especially with WoW Hardcore. But I think I restarted the PC this morning, so it shouldn't be too bad. If we get any lag, then we'll cancel it.
This TikToker just lost his life during a TikTok prank, and it's all from an old trend that everyone did growing up that has been slightly altered for TikTok in a more reckless way.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, this man
I think I know what this is. So that we used to like ding dong ditch. I did it like once or twice when I was a kid. I got to admit, there's like some weird adrenaline to it. It's never anything I would do on my own. I would have never done that on my own. But you know, there was a couple times I was hanging out. Once I remember I was with the baseball team. It was someone on the baseball team's birthday party, and like it wasn't even peer pressure. It was just partially curiosity. I didn't really think there was anything wrong with it. I'd probably say now, ding dong ditching isn't even that bad, to be honest. Like, it's crazy that what they're doing now evolved from ding dong ditching. But that was relatively harmless, you know? Unless you like harass someone. I don't think we really did that. It might have been like once or twice we hit the same person again, but it wasn't like any actual type of harassment. It was as like little kids that were on the baseball team, absolutely fucking hilarious to see someone answer the door and there's nobody there and then go back and do it a second time. But yeah, it was, there's only once I can actually remember that we did it. So I understand how it's fun for a kid to do, but I've heard a little bit. I think the TikTokers, they go up and they like kick on the door like someone's trying to break in to their house. I don't know why anyone would think that's a good idea. I would have I would have never agreed to do that. I was kind of a bit of a party pooper sometimes when I was younger, cuz like I would look at other kids, I'd be like, "Yo, that's so fucking stupid. Why would you do that? Grow the fuck up." But the ding dong ditching, I thought that was fun. That was fine.
An 18-year-old over a ding dong ditch video, and it's way more than just another viral trend going wrong. This is one of those times that I'm having to report on something that's already gone too far and can't be taken back. So fair warning, this isn't the most fun video.
Tonight, an arrest for murder in Virginia after teens tell authorities an age-old childhood prank, the ding dong ditch, turned deadly. A high school senior shot to death while doing the stunt, his friends say, for a TikTok video. Now the homeowner, Tyler Chase Butler, arrested and accused of second-degree murder.
So let's set the scene. It's 3 a.m. in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. A group of high schoolers are out filming a prank for TikTok, the kind your parents probably called harmless mischief, and the internet calls, I guess, a ding-dong ditch prank. And we all know how this prank goes. It's older than the internet. You knock on someone's door, run off, and the trend part involves, I guess, getting the footage and posting it for clout. What could go wrong, right? Well, apparently everything. Everything went wrong. 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr., a high school senior,
I gotta hear
no idea this would be the
facts
last
of
video
this.
he'd ever film.
Yeah, we just waiting to get shot. Okay.
Oh my God.
Anything for the content.
So he was out with 2 friends at 3 in the morning. They
Okay, so 2 things. One, it's dumb as hell. You just banging on doors like that. That's not a ding dong ditch. That's attempted breaking and entering, if we're being completely honest. Even if they aren't really trying to get inside, that is It's like if you walk up and slap someone and are like, "Oh, I was just joking." That's still battery, right? They don't know you were joking. It's not necessarily the intent behind the action. Like, intent does matter, but the action itself matters too. If you are kicking on someone's door like you're trying to kick it down, they're probably going to assume you're trying to kick it down. I also find it's important to note that this guy, Coleon Noir, he's a pretty cool content creator, pro Second Amendment guy, absolutely great content. Check him out. But so I don't forget to post the link, this is the Atozy video we're watching. Please go ahead, click that link, give this video a like or a dislike, just interact with it to help out the algorithm. I personally suggest you give Atozy a subscribe and go upvote every single one of his videos ever, because this dude is awesome.
You know what? Anything for the content. Anything for the content.
So he was out with two friends at 3 in the morning. They hit a few houses.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is they literally say we're going to get shot. Anything for the content. Like, was it worth it, dude? One of your friends is dead.
In the neighborhood, then they reached this home of a 27-year-old Tyler Chase Butler. Butler didn't just call the cops, he opened fire. According to the police, Bosworth was shot in the torso and later passed away in Washington Hospital. One friend was grazed by a bullet, and the last one got away. Butler was arrested days later and charged with second-degree murder, malicious wounding, then finally 2 counts of using a firearm in commission of a felony. No bond. He's currently sitting in Rappahannock Regional Jail right now. So overall, this is probably the worst possible way this prank could have gone. And look, I talk about how wrong pranks and this content can go here on this channel, but this one went beyond most of the videos I cover. Because at the end of the day, a high school senior is gone.
Based off the information we have so far, we'll see if Atozy gives us more. It seems to me like both sides were in the wrong. I hate to say it, but I don't know if we can really send the guy to jail for that. Because the guy reasonably assumes someone's trying to break into his house. He has every right to defend his life and property, right? Now, as a firearm owner, am I just shooting blindly through a door like that? No. And you could argue that that's negligent use of a firearm. I definitely would. So you know what? Maybe send him to jail for that. You really need to be important with checking your targets. Yeah. I changed my mind. Send the guy to jail. Fuck it.
A man's in jail.
I'm just worried really about the overall perception, because the way the law works here in the United States, this could theoretically be used as precedent for something else. Just ways for people to argue bullshit of like, oh, well, this guy, here was an attempted break-in, and this guy got sent to jail for shooting some kids that were attempting to break into his house. So that means you're not allowed to shoot people that are attempted to break into your house. And then it comes down to an argument of the facts, the specific facts of the case, which, you know, depending on the judge, that can go either way. And depending on the lawyers, that can go either way. So I don't like the precedent it sets, but I do feel like the guy should be held responsible for what I'm guessing was firing blindly through the door. We don't actually have that information yet, but the kid should also be all arrested and charged with attempted breaking and entering as well. It's the way I see it.
The rest of us are now asking, was this a tragic misunderstanding or a predictable result of viral stupidity? Well, let's walk through what happened.
The second, I'm absolutely positive of that. But let's get the details, Atozy.
And you can see in the clip, this wasn't just ringing doorbells.
Yeah.
Witnesses say kids were kicking and banging on the door. Loud, aggressive, almost like they were trying to break in. And that's exactly what I was.
So I want, before I said anything before, I wanted to make sure that was the actual clip and not just an example from the channel of the type of stuff they were doing. If that's the actual clip, then it's especially concerning for me because the dude opened fire in an apartment complex, which means bullets can go through walls and hurt one of your neighbors. Now, does that mean you should never open fire in an apartment complex? No. Like, if your life or the life of your loved one is in danger, absolutely start blasting away. But it does mean you need to be more careful, and you should have a higher standard of when you're willing to let it go versus if you have like a big old farm and there's no one around you for a mile, and you can crank off a shotgun round and it's not going to hit anything but dirt. That's a whole other level. So one of the most important gun laws, not gun laws, rules of gun safety is always know your target and what's around it. The what's around it so far is the more important part, but the first part might come into play at some point soon. Let's get the rest of the facts.
Was talking about earlier with the altered version of the Ding Dong Ditch prank that's turned into a reckless TikTok trend. Here's myself from the past explaining this. It's called the TikTok door kick challenge.
Okay.
It's pretty self-explanatory. It's kind
This is how I knew about this, because I did know about this before, and I was like, where did I see that? I saw it on this
of
channel.
like ding dong ditching, as many of us grew up doing, unfortunately, except they got creative and they added some property damage into the mix, because why not? So it is what it is, I guess. After it gets dark, you run full speed from the street at someone's door and jump kick it. So not only are you damaging the door and the frame, but also waking and scaring the crap out of the people inside. Then on top of that, this is also happening in the US, and because of our Second Amendment, this can quickly become quite the extreme sport for the person doing this challenge. And you don't only have to worry about a potentially armed homeowner, but also the police, because obviously this is illegal. But that's not stopping this trend from being so
How
big and
prophetic,
viral. These
Atosi.
pranks are now happening all over the US. And depending on what state you're based in, the range of your penalties can really vary here, because some people are getting hit with like a basic criminal mischief charge, and others with breaking and entering, because surprise, surprise, if you kick in someone's door at night, that
I think everyone should get hit with breaking and entering. You know, I do think states should have some leeway as to what's illegal within their state, but there are certain things that need to be set to a certain standard. I think education is one of those. I think medical care is another one of those. And the right to be secure in your property is also one of those. If someone is breaking and entering into your house, which is what kicking the front door open is, then they should absolutely be arrested and charged with breaking and entering, not criminal misdemeanor mischief.
that's a charge. So let's play some of these clips, because it's ridiculous. Yeah. The frame didn't like that one. Okay, so according to the witnesses, that happened. And I unfortunately hinted here on my past video on how this could be a fatal challenge. Unfortunately for the guys who did it, it was. The homeowner didn't think it was funny. He thought it was a robbery. So he did what most people would do here in the US if they thought their house was being broken into. Grab a firearm.
The Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office saying in a press release it was 3 a.m. Saturday morning when they got a call for a burglary in progress where shots were fired. Deputies found 2 people with gunshot wounds on the scene. 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr. was transported to a local hospital. Gunshot wounds on the scene.
Is it a house? Maybe it was just a clip from a different thing. It looks like a house. At least, unless they're just showing that house randomly.
Where shots were fired. Deputies found 2 people with gunshot wounds on the scene. 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr. was transported to a local hospital where he died just hours before his high school prom.
So Michael was hit in the torso. He later died in Mary Washington Hospital. Another teen was grazed, and a third got away physically unharmed, but probably scarred for life. And this all happened hours before Bosworth's senior prom. His girlfriend wore his pink bow tie to the dance. That's not something anyone should ever have to do. And like I said, Butler's now sitting in jail, waiting for these charges to process. Overall, it's just an awful situation for everyone involved. Now, you might be asking, isn't Virginia a stand your ground state? Well, not quite. Virginia doesn't have a codified stand your ground law, but it does recognize something similar through what's called a castle doctrine. Basically, if someone breaks into your house and you have reasonable fear for your life, you can stand your ground and essentially eliminate the target. But the key...
So the difference between... Well, he might say something else, but he might say it, but so the difference between stand your ground and castle doctrine is stand your ground applies everywhere to begin with. You can be out shopping in Walmart, and if someone attacks you, you have a right to stand your ground instead of duty to retreat states, which basically you just end up getting shot in the back or like stabbed in the back or beat over the head. That's why duty to retreat is fucking stupid, because it's a duty to make yourself vulnerable to the criminal when you really like look at it from any kind of serious tactical standpoint. Now, should you try and retreat whenever possible? Absolutely yes. There's 3 Ds: de-escalate, disengage, and defend, and it goes in that order, right? If you can't de-escalate the situation, you try and get away from the situation. If you can't get away from the situation, then you really have no option but to defend yourself. So, now the difference with castle doctrine is that you have a right to defend yourself within your own home. And don't ask about the states that don't have castle doctrine, because somehow you're supposed to like run away to somewhere else if someone breaks into your home and tries to kill you or something. Like where are you supposed to go? If you're not safe in your own home, then where the fuck are you safe, and who the hell would choose to live in one of those states? Anyways, let's see what Otosi's gonna say here.
Here is you have to have a reasonable fear, but, and that is a big but, that legal protection gets really fuzzy if the threat is outside your home or if the person is retreating when you shoot. Because if Butler fired through the door or after they started running away, that might explain the second-degree charge. So let's break down the charges here. First, the second-degree murder charge here. The penalty in Virginia can be anywhere from like 5 to 40 years in prison, which, I mean, that's a terribly wide range. He also has a malicious wounding charge, which has a potential of 5 to 20 years in prison, and that one also has a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison if a weapon was used. And finally, he has 2 counts of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. For a first-time offender, that's a 3-year mandatory minimum. And because Butler is charged with 2 counts, that's a minimum of 8 years just for the gun charges, and that has to be served back-to-back in addition to the sentences for the other felonies. So the total potential sentence here, if convicted on all counts, is a minimum of likely around 13 years and a maximum of 65 plus years, which is just, it's insane. I mean, that is a hell of a way to ruin your life in 2 seconds for both the shooter, who might spend life in prison, and the kid who lost his. Of course, final sentencing would really depend on plea deals, whether charges are dropped, the trial outcome, and how the judge chooses to structure the sentences. And some people are probably saying, good, well, he ended the life of a kid. Or, well, 18-year-old. But a lot of the internet are actually defending the shooter because he very well might have thought he was being robbed. Like, if you're jolted up at 3 in the morning by a loud thud at your front door, you're most likely acting in a daze of flight or flight, and you're not fully awake yet. And then you just have all these, like, unknown details, like, what if he had a few drinks before going to bed?
Here's the thing. As a firearm owner, and one of the most pro 2A guys you will ever see, you have a responsibility for every bullet that leaves your gun, regardless of what state you're in. And we need more details. If he fired through the door, if he shot the guy while he was running away, then neither one of those is justifiable, in my opinion. If he was sitting there hearing them pounding on the door and the door blasts open and he blasts back, absolutely 100% justifiable. I feel really bad for the kid's girlfriend, for his family, but honestly, my thoughts are that the kid got what he deserved. Now, does that mean the shooting itself was justified? No, it's up in the air based on the facts of the case. But stupid games win stupid prizes. That's what it boils down to. If you are going around breaking into someone's house or pretending like you're breaking into someone's house, then you're going to get got. And that's just what it boils down to. Hopefully this can be a cautionary tale for other people out there to not do life-threatening pranks for TikTok views. This is absolutely insane.
Woken up in a jolt. Like there's so much that could be there. But again, as I said, we don't have the full details. Obviously, there's a big difference in firing at your front door thinking you're being broken into versus running after and firing on the people who are already fleeing. We just don't know what happened. Either way, it's just another story of a viral prank and an absolute.
You should. What the fuck?
Prank.
You should never just fire blindly at your front door. Well, I'll give one. The only time I could ever see it being a viable option would be if bullets were already coming through that door. But even then, it's pretty damn iffy. I wouldn't personally do it. I would get the fuck away from the door. But I would say I wouldn't necessarily hang someone for shooting bullets through a door when bullets were already coming through the door at them, especially if they couldn't get away from the door for some reason. Then it's maybe a good shoot. But regardless, I would still have trouble, as pro-gun as I am, firing bullets blindly through a door. That just, ooh, that makes my skin crawl, the whole idea of it. Again, I'm saying this with a clear mind, not in the heat of the moment. But if I were in that situation, okay, well, the worst case scenario, I'm inside a door and bullets are coming through the door from the outside. I'm just being really quiet, like making them think either I'm not there or they already got me. And I'll lie in wait till they open the door, check my target, and be like, yep, that's the one that was firing away. And he'll get what he's deserved. If I were at home sleeping and someone starts sounding like they're trying to kick in my door, I would take an angle on the door and shout, I have a gun, I'm calling the police. And there's a 90% chance they would stop and run away. And then I'd go back to sleep. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to sleep after that for the rest of the night. I'd probably call the police, report an attempted break-in, and then maybe play WoW for 4 hours, and then go back to sleep. or take a long shower or something like that. Although I don't know if I'd want to take a shower after that either, because then I'd be like, what if they come back while I'm in the shower and I die wet and naked? But yeah, oh man, this is just a really shitty situation. I definitely feel bad for the kid's family and the girl. I don't really feel bad for the kid. He got what he deserved. But I don't know if I feel bad for the guy that pulled the trigger yet. It all depends on the situation. If he the malicious wounding charge, that's what seems like it might have been chasing them down and gunning them down in the street type thing, which is just absolutely insane. But they could just be throwing that charge at him because they can, and they're trying to throw the book at him. But especially in West Virginia, which is a pretty pro-gun state, I feel like they're throwing all those charges at him. The facts of the case probably aren't in his favor.
And it's frustrating to see this because I've already covered this trend 6 months ago where I even said this is going to end horribly wrong. And it did. No matter who's at fault here, you don't kick people's doors in at 3 in the morning. Actually, you don't kick people's doors in at all.
Ever. Yeah.
Just
don't do that.
This trend. It is absolutely not worth the upside because ding dong ditching apparently just isn't what it used to be. It's not a giggling sprint down the driveway anymore.
Well, you know why? Because that doesn't get views. No one cares about ding dong ditching because that's not edgy. That's not funny. It's not. You're not going to get views unless you're ruining someone's life or destroying their property. So, ding dong ditching is lame. Only pussies do that.
It's a forceful of drop kicks to the door at 3 in the morning in a country where, being allowed to shoot someone at your door is on a state-by-state basis. This is not a prank. This is how you cut your life short. But unfortunately, this trend isn't going anywhere because there's more and more of these clips on TikTok going viral.
Check this.
Keep in mind, my house is also off 20-mile road, a main road. So not very often do we get ding dong ditchers. These 3 videos are all 3 separate times the past 2 years. Bro, I'm so glad this didn't happen to me. Because if this were happening to me, I'd set up some kind of booby trap or some shit. And I'd probably get in trouble for it. This is so dumb.
And look, I'm obviously trying to be sensitive to this because this is an awful tragedy. It really is. But I'm shocked someone hasn't been shot from this before now. Because look, Michael Boswell Jr., he wasn't a hardened criminal. He was a 3-sport athlete, lacrosse, football, wrestling, a senior at Massaponax High School with his whole life ahead of him. His girlfriend of 3 years wore his bow tie to prom. His classmates held a vigil. The entire community is in mourning. But no amount of tragedy erases the reality of what him and his friends did was dangerous.
It was
reckless.
fucking
that was a
stupid
decision
and
to cut his life
dangerous.
short. So now we're kind of left in this gray zone, legally and morally. Was Butler's fear justified? If so, the charges may not hold. If not, his life is over, basically. If the teens were already fleeing and if the shooting happened through the door, then we might be looking at a case of excessive force. But also, even if he shot through the door, there's still room for an argument there, even though that is a terrible judgment. But it's just
terrible,
such a
terrible
situation
judgment call.
Who is operating at a logical state being jolted up at 3 in the morning? So either way, before you rush to a judgment on either side, understand this is a messy, tragic mix of bad judgment and viral clout chasing. It should be obvious by now, but please don't jump kick people's doors. We've seen pranksters get punched, arrested, and even shot at before, but now another one has passed away, and this probably won't be the last. Unfortunately, it's sad. This is a tragedy. I guess internet culture has just blurred the line between a joke and a threat, and how consequences of crossing that line are now becoming more and more serious. So, I mean, overall, if you're a teen thinking about trying this kind of thing, please don't. If you're a homeowner, you better know the law before you pull that trigger, because both sides can lose everything in seconds. And I guess to everyone else, especially prank creators and IRL streamers, maybe rethink what you do for content. Stay safe, stay smart.
Absolutely.
Let's keep these pranks harmless.
No
because I don't think
amount
anyone wants the
of
outcome we had
internet
in today's
fame
video. But
or
other than
money
that, I'll see you guys in the next
is
video.
worth your
Peace.
life. Now, there are things that are worth your life which may end up getting you internet fame or money, but you'd have to be doing those for the principle or the cause, and that the benefits of it would be secondary, you know? So, like, what would be a good example? I'm tired. I can't think of any good examples right now. Something that like, there's so many. I want to read this at some point. What is that? Oh, never mind. This band doesn't exist. I kind of want to watch that at some point, but we are going to play a little bit of WoW. Just get a little bit of gaming in. I probably won't do a dungeon unless someone specifically in the guild requests it. But it's always a possibility. All right. Let's go. We got to switch scenes for a sec. Don't want my login info to show. There's a new trend, a new security threat. I watched Some Ordinary Gamers video on it over the weekend, where apparently they have AI that can find your passwords from listening to your keyboard. So if you're a streamer, if you're in Discord with someone and you need to type a password in, please make sure you mute your mic. Because what happens is essentially each key has its own acoustic signature. And if they have a record of a similar keyboard, or like say you have a Razer keyboard, if they have a record of a Razer keyboard, someone typing on that, there's a 95%, I think the lowest chance they had was a 90% accuracy. They tested it in a few different situations, but it was also like optimal conditions, but they wanted to see if it was even possible, and it had a 90 to 95% accuracy of being able to guess the password. And with that, you can brute force and try 2 or 3 different variations before you get a password lockout, and you're in, you know? Unless it, so just leave crumbs and stuff in your keyboard, because then it's going to change the acoustic signature of your keyboard. Actually, spill coffee on your keyboard, because then it'll get all mushy and it won't have the clicks anymore. It probably won't work either, but at least AI won't be able to guess your password by listening to your keyboard clicks. All right. So, like I said, I'm probably not doing dungeons tonight. I am just running a few quests to clean up these quests that are green, that I'm a little bit over leveled for, before they go away and we can't complete them. I mean, I think we can complete them, but I'm pretty sure the whatchamacallit, I'm pretty sure the my brain is fried. The once they go gray, we don't get XP for them anymore, because with other things in the game, if it's green, you get reduced XP. If it's yellow, you get normal XP. If it's orange, you get double, I think, or increased. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but I don't know if that applies for quests. It definitely seems to apply for crafting, but maybe that's just misinformation that I received and I'm now spreading. I would like to figure out what the actual answer of that is. Also, Engineer's Hammer, soulbound. Both of these are soulbound, so we'll just sell them. Also, I kind of want to make a new character. Hey. We're gonna make the new character. I was thinking of the character name.
We shall meet
All right.
again.
I was thinking about Big Dong. No, I'm kidding. So, there's a guild tournament where once a month, apparently, we have a level 10 PvP fight. Level 10 Makara. It was fun watching. I didn't know about it, but we're going to go ahead and join. And we're going to do a priest. And specifically, we're going to do a priest that is named after a priest that was killed by a guild member. Is that the one we had? We had... Stop moving around. We had a... Yeah, it was that one. I don't remember what face she had, though. We'll do this. It's got to be self-found. I don't have a self-found character. Um, I don't think there's enough. No. All right. So we have this solo self-found priest. Now, there are, you can only be level 10.
The vast undead armies of the Scourge.
So, what the shit? How'd that happen? How does that even happen? What is going on down here? Oh, is it just like level 1 Makaras maybe? So, let's options, auto loot, interface, enemy units, minions, stacking. Raid style. So it's not super necessary to do the raid style party because we should probably do health lost actually. I kind of wonder what that looks like. For this, we should keep it to auto, actually. Because this is going to be a PvP only character. That's solo self-found. And doesn't participate in other things. Alright. Okay. So, the important thing becomes we only can run certain quests. What is this? Never known defeat. Unable to trade. Use the auction house or send to receive the most mail. Alright. So. The question becomes, how do we efficiently level this character? Well, the leveling doesn't need to be efficient. What we need to do is make sure we get only the quests and items we want. And we're going to get XP just from walking around. Ooh. Okay. And farming materials will kind of get XP from killing things that are near the materials we need to farm. So the last thing we want to farm is engineering. I feel like one of the first things we want to farm is How do we farm first aid and tailoring? So one of the first things we want to farm is enchanting. I don't know if any of this gear is better than the gear we can make ourselves, is the question.
I have exactly what you need. Beware the living. I have exactly what you need. Victory for Sylvanas.
I think our best option is to just go ahead and walk to Durotar. Which is going to be kind of sketch on a level 1. Actually, it shouldn't be too bad. We just got to walk into Undercity. The sleep sand is really strong, though. I need, okay. List of all quest items classic WoW. Alright, let's see if I can find anything. Make sure you read the README tab. It has arrived the definitive guide for 1 through 60 questions and Azeroth with items that can be completed or partially completed with items. Let me just read this quickly. Oh, so this is not what I wanted. So this is just like a level skipping thing where you can buy items to, okay, this might be what we need. This is actually super useful. There's only 500. It's not too bad, actually. Can I, is there a link to this? Okay. Is this really not have a level requirement? But it's probably a high level quest. Yeah, level 40. Level 30 required. Alright. So let's go look at blue dinner suit. Carefully wrapped present. What the fuck is this thing? Oh boy. What is that guy even doing here? Oh, he just spawns there and he walks in. That would have been so funny. That's why you always play with the volume on, guys. On hardcore, at least. Alright. A Winter Veil Cookie. Restores 2% of your health per second for 24 seconds. Must remain seated while eating. Oh, this is just regular food. This is just food buff. We can make our own food. Alright. I feel like Is there a way to sort by alliance? I guess not. Equips. What? Increases your chance to dodge an attack by 1%. Absorbs 750 damage? This is probably something you get that we can't do. Bring me 12 trinkets of the Arena Master. Then you shall be a Grand Master of the Gurubashi Arena. How do you get the 12 trinkets? Level 19 gnome. This is an insane level of abusing game mechanics. To farm at level 19. And we can only be level 10. Oh, it would be insane to have that item, but totally not worth it. Alright. So, what else can we get? Don't need a buckler. Coin of Ancestry. A symbol and respect of one's ancestry. Doesn't seem to do anything useful. It doesn't seem to even exist. Really sticky glue. This is what we want. We need to be level 5 to even start this quest. This is so good. Huge. We need to be level 5. I don't care about like the gear drops and stuff. Ceremonial knife. At war with the Scarlet Crusade. Or the striking hatchet. Neither one of those do stat buffs, right? No. Oh, there's a cooking quest. Beer-basted ribs. You get a 14 slot bag at level 6? Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that. That's an event. I don't know if Weak Troll's Blood is any good, and we'll probably be able to make that doing alchemy. Slumber Sand. This is one of the ones we want as well. I'm hoping they have a separate cooldown. So they have two different uses. This is for offense, right? Renders a target unable to move for 10 seconds. This is how we really crush DPS on a melee character. Slumber Sand is if we get in trouble, put a target to sleep for 20 seconds, we heal, drink, and then crap DPS on them to wake them up. Explorer's vest, male. Leather, elven wand. Is that better than the basic wand that we can make? Agility dagger. Restores mana. Okay, but that's food. And it doesn't have a buff. Nightglow concoction. Held in offhand, +3 spirit. Or +3 stamina cloak. You also get swiftness potion. We'll look at that. That seems pretty solid. Log splitter. Nope. A mace that's +2 strength. Nope. Cinder wand. Is that better than the other wand? Alright. And then we can only do up to the level 10 ones. Oh, one of the quests is only Alliance. No wonder I've never seen that stuff before. Festive gift. Ring of Scorn. -, spirit, but + stamina. That's interesting. Now, this is a level 20 quest. It says it's available at 10, but it's a level 20. So, can we actually complete that? Who knows? Also, we need to be careful when completing these test quests that are available at level 10 that we don't go over level 10. Because if we go level 11, then we're no longer eligible. Who is Mr. Wiggles the pig? Alright, we'll look into those and see if those are useful pets or if they're just pets that we can't use in combat. So, we get a staff. We get some potions, but we'll probably just make any potions we need. Ooh, that robe, to be honest. That might be better than a robe we can make ourselves. Alright, and then that's all the items we can get at level 10, doing level 10 quests. And like, this is a level 15 quest, this is a level 24 group quest. But, hey, I'm trying to make the craziest level 10 PvP tune possible. So, the important thing here is the first quest we need to do is this solvent spirit, the really sticky glue. Next to that, okay, we've got to check and see if there's prerequisites for these quests. Is it going to tell me? I don't think there's a prerequisite. Is there a prerequisite for this one? It doesn't look like it. Oh, it is series. Yeah, okay. There's no series for this. Okay, so what we need to do is go do this quest first. Which has a level 6 requirement. We don't even need to do these quests first. I think we do this first. And let me tell you why. So we're going to walk into Undercity and Durotar, where we will... First, let me do a combat round in my Star Wars roleplay game. You'll hear the dings real quick. We're going to walk into Undercity, and... Do I even want to go into Undercity? I think we reached the Zeppelin before we hit Undercity. Yeah, I'll go into Undercity so I can get the Hearth. Or no, because we Hearth to Razor Hill, I think, for this quest. So we'll get the Hearth at Razor Hill. I gotta hit the attack button still. We'll get the Hearth at Razor Hill. Then we'll take the Zeppelin to Orgrimmar. And then we will, from there, do the Durotar starting quest. While in Orgrimmar, we'll get... Okay, we'll do some starting quests here, because we're going to need cash. While in Orgrimmar, we'll get the... abilities we need. How much does that pay? It's not gonna say. Are you sure? No. Alright.
I am forsaken.
So, yeah, we'll do this. Get some basic gear. We'll get our first level at least.
Goodbye.
Oh, I wanted to... There's one thing I didn't check that we need to do to finalize the plan here. There were two... Oh, that's the dehumidifier. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There was a beeping. I need to go empty the dehumidifier real quick. I'll be right back, guys. We're drying some paint in the basement. So normally I wouldn't care so much, but we need the paint as dry as possible. I need to touch up the paint tomorrow, but that's a tomorrow thing. Alright, so where was I? Oh, we were checking to see if which one of these two wands is better. There were two wands. So we can get an Elven wand that does 10 to 20 arcane damage with 9.4 damage per second, or a Cinder wand which does 11.8 damage per second. And how much does the lesser magic wand do? 11.3. It says requires level 5. Yeah, okay. And this one, Cinder wand, 11.8. It's just barely better. 12 to 22 at 1.5 speed versus 11 to 22 at 1.4 speed. So it's slightly faster cast speed, but has slightly lower damage. Is there a reason to do fire versus arcane? Best damage for PvP. WoW Classic. No, that's not what I want. Best damage type. This is not what I want. Jesus Christ. Get rid of the fucking AI. I don't want class. I want damage types. That's for PvE, but maybe it's helpful. Uh-oh. Is Reddit breaking my system? You guys can hear that, right? One of these websites is eating an insane... Well, it's probably the 100 fucking tabs